Hello, dear folks. Welcome to the show, Jack Shao, with East West on this show for quite a lot of time. Yet, looking around, we talk about things that are far from us, but we keep missing things around us. Things around us means our own San Gabriel Valley, our own eastern part of the San Gabriel Valley. That's the part that we're talking about today. Today joining me are two wonderful friends of mine, of this community. We have Mr. Joe Zanata. He is the CEO of Citrus Valley Health Foundation. Welcome, sir, to the show.
Thank you.
We're very flattered you're here because you're the one that makes everybody live happier and healthier.
That's our hope.
Good. Next to him is the board member of the foundation, Mr. Drexel Smith. As you may see him many other times on other issues, I call him, even though a board member now he is an activist of all social issues. And there was even a few times I share with you the thoughts about anti-terrorism internationally. So to you, sir, welcome to the show.
Jack, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
All right, very good.
And I think we have an exciting topic today.
Very good. And when I started my homework, prior to my starting homework, I know there's a hospital called Queen of the Valley. That's it, right? You drive by, you see the hospital, all right, that's the hospital, like that. But underneath, we never know. Not until I started my homework did I learn there's a whole organization working around that hospital. Can you please, sir, start with a little briefing? I might have some point of interest to check with you.
Sure.
As I highlighted, but you want to give us overall picture, and you, sir, board member, about the whole picture, please.
So today we're the largest healthcare provider in the San Gabriel Valley. But I want to go back about 100 years. I was a history major in college. My grandmother was born in 1902 and lived till 2005 with her.
1902, 2005, that's 103 years.
Yeah. And she had her complete faculties until the day she died.
Oh.
So I learned from her, and then I verified it independently. There were no hospitals when she was born. Hospitals are really a 20th century phenomenon. So in Los Angeles in 1902, I think there were two hospitals. St. Vincent's in downtown Los Angeles, which was established in 1881 approximately, and the Huntington in Pasadena, I think they were opened in 1901. So hospitals, back at the turn of the last century, most healthcare was provided by Marcus Welby, the local physician who would go to your home. And sometimes you'd go to his office, but hospitals didn't exist. So in 1922 here in Covina, two sisters, the Whitler sisters, one was a nurse and one was a school teacher, decided to open a hospital. So they opened Intercommunity Hospital in 1922.
That is the Queen of the Valley
Hospital?
Hospital?
That's Intercommunity, 1922 in Covina. Queen of the Valley.
Intercommunity.
Intercommunity, older, 1922.
I see, okay, I have it here.
Yeah.
Intercommunity, yes.
So after World War II, when Los Angeles had tremendous growth in population, veterans who were in Japan or in Germany or wherever, when they flew through Los Angeles, they liked it. They liked the sunshine. So Los Angeles, which was a very small town in 1941, became very large. And as population came in, we needed to provide health care. So oftentimes a religious organization would start a hospital as part of their social contract to take care of people. So in the 40s and 50s, the bishop, the cardinal in Los Angeles, would invite an order of sisters to come and start a hospital. So in 1957, Cardinal McIntyre contacted this order of sisters, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and said, come to West Covina, open a hospital. How do you do that with no money? So this woman, this sister, Josephine Colomba, got in her car and drove to Los Angeles. She had $25 in her pocket. $25.
All right.
And she started working in the community, getting people to support her dream to open a hospital.
I see.
So Queen of the Valley opened in 1962 with that $25 as
That's the
seed
Queen
money.
of the Valley.
Queen of the Valley,
Okay.
1962.
The Queen of the Valley. Okay, very good.
And then
1962.
eventually it grew, it expanded, and the organization affiliated with Intercommunity, and then we affiliated with Foothill Presbyterian Hospital, which was newer. Foothill Presbyterian opened in 1973.
Presbyterian meaning the older people, right?
Right.
Older people, yeah, older aged.
Well, you can be
a medical
Presbyterian
term.
and be younger, but Presbyterian is a organized religion.
I see.
Just
I see.
like the Episcopals. just
Which year
like
was
the
that
Catholics.
founded?
1973.
I see.
So again, because of the need to take care of the community, most, not all hospitals, but most nonprofit hospitals were started by organized religion, because the organized religion felt that they needed to take care of people in the community. And then eventually they became big businesses.
I see.
So we now have 3,500 employees.
Wow. And 1,000, and I see about 1,000 physicians.
Right, about 1,200 physicians.
1,200
And
physicians.
It's a big organization.
Yeah, that's a big one. Mr. Drexel Smith, board member Drexel Smith, what's your involvement, please?
Well, obviously, the board of directors has responsibilities, and on the foundation, a key part of the board member's job is to communicate and to understand the needs of the community and to work with the community for the support of the enterprise.
All right.
As Joe said, and I want to reemphasize, Citrus Valley, that includes all 3 hospitals plus a hospice care home, is nonprofit.
Right.
It is for the good of the community. And there's not enough money generated through the fees charged, and we need to depend on community support and donations. And in reverse, the enterprise is very involved in health education with different programs to help people with a healthier lifestyle. So those are the kinds of programs that the board of directors evaluates and works with the staff on to make sure that we're getting good connection with the community. And one of the concerns that I personally have, Jack, is we have a growing Asian and Pacific Rim population within the San Gabriel Valley.
True.
And in many cases, people arrive with a different point of view about healthcare and healthcare needs than traditional Western medicine. And I think it's really important. And I think what's so exciting about being on your show today is to begin a conversation to make sure that the leadership of Citrus Valley has a direct connection and make sure that they're listening and we're dealing with programs appropriate for all of our communities.
All right, very good, very good. I do appreciate the opportunity to get to touch on this issue because to me, you know, when you were young, you would never think about hospital unless you cut your fingers.
Right, had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah, have to go to the emergency room or twist your ankle or something like that kind, right? So when you, as time goes on and on and on, well, so towards the latter part of your life, though, the word hospital really means something to you,
Right.
right? And then for a hospital for a system to continue since as early as 1921, developed in 2062, and reestablished in 73.
Right.
So, well, that's really quite a big thing. And there's only thing I'm missing now. So we have the Obamacare now. we have the hospitals and the systems and even hospice services, even family services, even the maternity services all together that run under you guys' leadership. And then we're talking about money, why and how the money works, right? So that my audience will know how it goes, everything flows, right? Where the shortage is,
Right,
if there's
right.
one, all right? Okay, my dear audience, as you understand where I am, I'm here to try to bring the community the necessary information to imbue our life with lots of plus. Right? With me, Mr. Joe Zanata, CEO of the Citrus Valley Health Center Foundation, and also board member of the foundation, Mr. Drexler Smith. So thank you for the first segment. You got to stay with me. We'll take a very short moment now. Hello, dear folks, dear Angelinos, fellow Angelinos. Welcome back to the show. We're talking about our valley, our eastern part of San Gabriel Valley. As a matter of fact, we're talking about our lives, right? The security of our lives. So, if we want to make a healthier and happier life, or live a life like that, or at least to try to act like that, you really want to care about what we're talking about. Today, in getting touch to the issue of the Citrus Valley Health Center Foundation, we learned about the 3 hospital systems under which there are hospice, there are family cares, there are maternity cares, there are all kinds, including emergencies, including the heart attack, the open heart surgery. We'll touch one by one. Okay. Now we're talking about, sir, how does it work, your system work with Obamacare? Suppose I have Obamacare, I'm covered, I know how much, I don't know how much, because I've never been to a hospital ever since Obamacare came into birth. So we want to understand, we want also to bring our audience's understanding about how the system works in coalition with Obamacare, please. Either you?
So I'll jump in. So again, you have to go back to understand the present. You have to understand the past. So 1933, Franklin Roosevelt became president and enacted the Social Security Act, which provided for pensions for senior citizens and disability. That was the first time the federal government got involved in supporting either seniors or people who are disabled. So then flash forward to the 60s when President Johnson implemented the Medicare Act. And Medicare basically provides for health care for people over 65, and you pay a small premium, then you get health care for the rest of your life. And then Medicaid is the health insurance for underprivileged, for poor people.
So Medicaid is federal, right?
Medicaid and Medicare are both federal.
Oh, Medicare and Medicaid, both are federal.
Yeah. And they're really, this is what a lot of people don't understand, they're really insurance programs. So look at your paycheck. I'll show you my paycheck. I pay a little tax for Medicare. I forgot the percentage. I think it's 1.5%. So people pay into the system, and then when you turn 65, you get health insurance.
I see.
In the 1980s, it was actually under a Republican president, President Reagan, when a lot of people didn't have access to health insurance, so they couldn't go to the hospital. So he signed an act that is referred to as EMTALA. It's the Emergency Room Act, where all hospital emergency rooms have to open their doors to anyone. And when he signed it, this is Ronald Reagan, and this isn't politics, this is just history. Ronald Reagan signed the bill and he said, by signing this act, I will guarantee that all people have access to health care through the emergency room, whether you're the child of a CEO or the child of a gardener. And he had a personal experience where his finance chairman, his bank went bankrupt. The man who was his finance chair in 1984, his bank went bankrupt. So they lost their health insurance. So then he had a son who had cancer, had no insurance. Can't go to the hospital. Well, Ronald Reagan thought that was wrong. So now flash forward to recently, Queen of the Valley Emergency Room, one of the busiest in Los Angeles County. Last year, about 80,000 people.
Suppose I cut my finger, I can go to yours, right?
You can go to our emergency room
All right.
regardless of if you have insurance or not. And that's the basis of the Affordable Care Act, which is Obamacare.
All right, good.
You don't, a lot of people who come to the emergency room come to the emergency room because they're going to see a doctor. But they don't need to go to the emergency room. Emergency room waits are long, and you might come in with a cut finger, and then Drexel might come in having a heart attack. So we're going to put you on hold and take care of him. And then we're taking care of him, and then someone comes in with a gunshot wound.
All right.
So then we got to take care of, so you're always
Prioritizing.
prioritizing, good word. Nurses triage people.
Yeah.
So one of the great benefits of the Affordable Care Act is that people can buy insurance. And in California, most progressive states, there's an exchange where it's subsidized. So I like to use my housekeeper as an example.
Go ahead.
She didn't have health insurance. She had children. So whenever she'd have something go wrong, I would have to call. I was with another organization, Providence Health and Services. I'd have to call and get her into one of the clinics, kind of make a phone call, try and take care of her.
I see, I see.
Now she has health insurance. She pays for it. She
All
pays
right.
$150 a month.
Okay.
She's got a card. She walks a little taller.
All right, good.
And so that's the, and what we're seeing now is,
It's all, I understand, sir.
So it's an
It's
insurance
all,
program.
yeah, it's all about to have people taken care of, make them worryless, right? Worry-free. Put
and
it
if you
that
have
way.
a card, then you don't have to go to the
Yeah, I
emergency
know.
room. You can go
But
see
for
a
the
doctor.
money part, though, now that you mentioned in the first segment, there is a shortage of money
Right.
when there's always a funding problems, right? So now, we understand the insurer, the one insured who pays a minimum, that's money, one part of money. And the SS system, Social Security system, has accumulated certain money. Like in my case, I've been working for so many years, so my money accumulated there.
Right.
And then you have the insurance company who take a chunk from their profit to make the whole thing up. So why still there is just a lack of money?
So what you just said is the key to understanding it. You said the insurance companies take money from their profit. So hospitals, most hospitals are nonprofit. So they don't have shareholders, they don't have stock. We're owned by the community. And our goal isn't to make money, it's to provide service. And in the healthcare world, many of the insurance companies are for-profit organizations. There's nothing wrong with a for-profit organization, but when you have an insurance company, you're taking premiums, you have this clash of values. On the one hand, you want to take care of you pay the premium, so you need to go to the hospital.
Then
They're
on the
gonna pay
other, they want to invest.
But then they also want to invest the money, and they have to pay shareholders. So that's, it's not a political issue, it's more of a, it's become a political issue, obviously. But to understand that, you have to understand that healthcare should not be governed by a for-profit company that's managing to its
Good point. That's
shareholders.
exactly what I'm asking. Only I wish the same word to come out of your mouth. Okay. The same word, if coming out from your mouth, what would you want to say?
Well,
You see where I'm heading,
Right,
right?
you might have a little different view.
the challenge, Jack, is if you have a heart problem, you want to go to the best place you can go.
Oh, sure.
And the best means the top doctor, and you want to go to a hospital that has the most current and modern and sophisticated equipment.
Okay.
Well, that equipment is very expensive.
I know.
How does that equipment get paid for? If I have a certain procedure, can I charge a little surcharge and put another 10% on to pay for the equipment?
If the
Well,
hospital
answer is
charges,
no.
it's okay
The answer is
because the hospital paid for the equipment.
Right.
right?
The answer is
And-
that's very hard to do.
If the doctors charge you, it's okay because they paid their education,
Right.
right? And my only problem is that why the insurance company, who does not even write you a prescription, neither do they check you on the equipment, make money just for arranging you, for managing you.
Well,
I can go ahead without
they're
without
managing
management.
they're managing the risk.
What risk?
Well, the risk is that they get a number of people putting in their money every month, and then all of a sudden, Jack Chow comes in with an open heart surgery that cost all the money that was taken in this month.
All right. In that case, when you come into an open heart surgery system,
Yeah.
there is always money there. Money is not short.
Well,
It's
I'm
a swapping
saying-
around. Anyway, that's another issue, another day, right?
So if
Yeah.
I can jump in, I want
Yeah.
to go back to Marcus.
Yeah, please.
So in the 60s, I was a child and would watch Marcus Welby on the television show. Marcus Welby was a solo practitioner. He worked out of his home, and he had one nurse. Her name was Consuela. And you'd go in to see him, and she would give you the shot, and he would examine you, and then she would do the billing. And then as Marcus got a little older, it got a little more complicated, so he brought in young Stephen Kiley, who was his associate. Today, Marcus Welby can't exist on his own, largely because of the insurance world. It's not a bad world, but you know, in those days when I'd go to the doctor, my dad would pay $2. It cost $2 for a visit, and if I needed the polio vaccine, it was free.
Yeah.
But today, the costs have escalated, and the insurance is very complicated. So Consuela, the nurse, couldn't handle the insurance and the regulations and Medicare billing and Medicaid billing and now the Affordable Care Act. So what's happened is there's been a whole sea change in the way medicine is practiced. So now you have all these groups, and they have many, many doctors, and then they don't do the billing. They have people in the back room who do the
All
billing.
right.
Because it's very complicated.
Yeah. So probably we should cut off right now. Let's, well, that is the whole thing. We can stretch it for, talk for a whole day, another day, right? Because it's so deep, right? So, my dear audience, let's take a very short moment. When we come back, we keep going, we keep following my homework, find out how exactly we are secured in the East San Gabriel Valley. As a matter of fact, we do not even know.
Right.
Yeah, sure.
We'll talk about
that's a bit, more problematic, right? So, we'll be right back, please. Hello, my dear friends, my dear audience. Welcome back to the show. As a matter of fact, it is a discussion about ourselves. Even though we're talking about hospitals, you're a matter of fact talk about yourself, because that's a place you're going to be. Sooner or later, you're going to need that, right? You're going to need a hospital. Anyway, in the system, I understand with the Citrus Valley Health Foundation, they run 3 hospitals, major hospitals with beautiful ER, with beautiful hospice programs, with the beautiful maternity programs, and they have a physician network of 1,000, and on a day-to-day basis, they have a 3,000 employees. Right? Yeah.
You did your homework.
Those are of course those are big numbers that we feel better off we are, right? Okay, now, one by one. Now, this morning I heard that there is one state, I was driving, they passed a law to give a 12-week of maternity leave. Okay. That triggered me. I said, oh my God, I'm going to meet Mr. Zanata. Why don't I ask him about the maternity programs? Right?
Jack, are you pregnant?
Yeah, I'm supposed to.
You
I can cause that to happen.
you
Okay.
you want the maternity leave?
Yeah, sure. So How's the maternity programs in the system?
So Queen of the Valley actually has one of the largest birthing centers in the San Gabriel Valley. We have a neo-intensive care unit, 38-bed unit.
I see.
Which is large. So a lot of babies are born at other hospitals, not just our two hospitals, Foothill and Intercommunity, but other hospitals that don't have a NICU, and then they bring them to us to take care of. So many employers now provide maternity leave for moms. And the thinking is that it's a benefit of employment, and then if you have a child, you need some time to do the bonding. So, and most of these programs that I'm aware of, they're paid. So you get 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks of paid maternity leave.
Back to the early days when my son was born, she stayed in the hospital for 2 days and a half or something like that.
Right.
As a matter of fact, to Chinese tradition, this woman is supposed to be in bed for at least 1 month, if not 1 month, about 2 weeks, like that kind. So do you have that kind of facility where those mothers, new mothers, can stay for a little bit rather than go, kick them out?
Yeah, and again, they get kicked out because the insurance company drives it's referred to as length of stay.
Speaking of that devil.
Yeah, so most healthy babies and healthy moms, the typical stay is 36 hours. So they deliver
36. That's a
day and a half.
Yeah,
I see. And then if the baby is a premature child or has some issues, it'll come to the NICU, the neo-intensive care unit.
Yeah, you're talking about incubator.
Yes.
Yeah, incubator.
And then
that's
they
a different
can stay
care.
3 months,
That's
6
different
months.
care,
But normal babies, normal births, it's 1 to 2 days, and they leave.
And scientifically, it works.
It does.
It does.
You have to remember that people have been giving births for thousands of years before there were hospitals.
I see.
Usually at home.
So we human experts are giving birth.
Yeah, it wasn't a doctor who would deliver. It was oftentimes a midwife, a nurse.
I see.
So the research is pretty significant.
I see.
That a normal delivery, the mom and baby can go home in a day or two.
I see. And you heard any complaints about the system being about the part with the maternity care part?
I don't recall a specific complaint, Jack. What I will say that the birthing center at Queen of the Valley has been specifically developed to meet the needs and wants and desires of the women that use it and the doctors that use it, and they have an outstanding system. And I think that's what I consider to be so special about Citrus Valley Health Partners, is at the Queen of the Valley, they have this birthing center that's a world-class center. 38 beds. 38 beds.
And it's named after a physician. A physician who came there, Gilbert Martin, arrived in 1973 to start this program. It's very small. He retired last year, and in recognition of his leadership, we named the NICU the Gilbert and Patricia Martin Family and Birthing Center. And he lives in the community, so it's kind of a nice connection. Still active in West Covina.
But I think
golf with you.
What's important, I think, to also note is Intercommunity in Covina, just a few miles away, has become a leading hospital for cardiac care.
Okay, we'll talk about cardiac hospitals later, but let me finish this one. If a woman wants to give birth to a baby, they can choose various places around. For example, downtown, you have women's whatever hospital, right? And then they have the up north with the Arcadia Hospital. What is that?
Arcadia Methodist Hospital.
Yeah, right. Arcadia Methodist Hospital, and yours, of course. So, is there anything that you want to say that this specific woman would choose Queen of the Valley?
So all hospitals do a great job. Okay, they wouldn't be certified by the state and by the federal government if they didn't do a good job. The difference is if you have a challenge, if there's an issue, you want to be at a hospital that has a NICU. an intensive care unit for babies. And a lot of hospitals don't have that. It's a real specialty area. So that's what separates Queen of the Valley from a lot of the other hospitals in Southern California. That if you're over 35, and I'm not a doctor, by the way, but typically if the woman is over 35, if she's had a miscarriage, she might be considered at risk. So you don't want to just go to a hospital to deliver. You want to be able to move the child immediately into the intensive care
Exactly,
unit.
exactly.
If there's a
Sometimes
problem.
the bigger the name might not necessarily be the better the hospital.
Correct.
To give you a good example, I had a friend, this friend, 20 something 5 years ago, died in CMC, California Medical Center,
Okay.
due to what they call, the placenta is planted into the open of uterus instead of on the walls.
Right.
All right. For that, the uterus was cut open right at the area where the placenta is. So the woman was killed literally,
Right.
because there is no way of clogging the blood or whatever the system. Medically, I don't know that much. So my feeling is that bigger the name of the hospital does not necessarily mean better the service.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Well, every hospital tries to have zero harm, and you never want to make mistakes. But you're dealing with human beings, you're dealing with
Yeah.
language problems, you're dealing with, the doctor might be fatigued. So sadly,
Might be a rookie.
mistakes might be what
No, might be rookie. Who
right,
knows?
right. So
Yeah.
mistakes happen. We look to the airline industry. I use LAX as an example. LAX, if I told you they operate at 99% efficiency, you'd say, huh, that's pretty good. Actually, if they operated at 99% efficiency on takeoffs and landings, they have 1,700 takeoffs and landings a day. So that means that 17 planes would crash every day. They're at 100% efficiency. So LAX has 1,700.
You're talking about 1%.
Right. If they operated at 99% efficiency, which is amazing, they would have 17 crashes a day.
I see.
So they've figured it out. And the airline industry is something that in healthcare we look to get to zero defects. So when's the last time a plane crashed at LAX? 10 years? 8
Long
years?
time.
5 years? So they have all these redundant systems in place. And so in healthcare, we're doing something referred to as Six Sigma. It's trying to import the knowledge that airlines have gained to have zero mistakes. And I was on an airplane recently, and the pilot, I actually knew him through a friend, and we were talking, and he's back with me, and I'm thinking, now we're going over the Rockies, and it's getting,
Yeah, okay.
I said, shouldn't you be up there flying the plane? He said, the best pilot in the industry is flying the plane. I said, well, you're the captain. Who's better than you? He said, autopilot.
Autopilot.
So in surgery now, we're using robots. And that's kind of, if you're going to go in for surgery, do you want a robot to operate on you? A lot of people don't want a robot. They want
So
a
is the
doctor.
robot better than human?
The
doctor,
robots are
human?
better than humans.
Oh,
but
robots
they
are
still
better.
need to be managed by humans.
Oh.
So the point of the question is, hospitals, big hospitals, little hospitals, everybody makes mistakes, but they don't mean to. The other problem is when you're in a hospital, you're in an area where everybody's sick. So germs. So, we insist that people wash their hands 10 times a day, 15 times a day. Not everybody does. So it's just a difficult environment to hit perfection. You want
I
to be
see.
perfect. You want to have nobody injured. And
Yet you're still saying there is still area or possibility of imperfectness.
correct.
Right.
Not by anyone's.
Yeah. Nobody is
Bad faith.
100%. We know that.
Right.
I like your
Right.
defense. That's a very good defense. All
Yeah.
right. So, oh my God, let's take another moment. Running. We keep running over because
we're having good
I
conversation.
enjoy so much in the conversation. All right. I like your LAX example. Right. My dear audience, today with me is Mr. Joe Zanata. He is the CEO of Citrus Valley Health Center Foundation, and also the board member of Citrus Valley Health Foundation. Together, they run 3 hospitals and lots of cares, including hospice cares. And you mentioned about your cardiology hospital. Can we come back talk about it, please?
Yes, sir.
Because that's a major part. Because I learned that you are the only one that doing the open heart surgery. Probably a robot can do it. All right. So we'll be right back. Hello, my dear folks. Welcome back to the show, my dear fellow Angelinos. If you live in San Gabriel Valley, you talk about, well, your hometown, especially the east area of San Gabriel Valley, you really want to care about where the hospitals are, who they are, and how good they are. Those are very important issues, at least to me. All right. Now, today joining me in sharing this issue, important issue, is Mr. Joe Zanata. He is the CEO of Citric Valley Health Foundation that runs 3 hospitals, major hospitals, and they are the Queen of the Valley Hospital and the Intercommunication Hospitals and Foothill Hospitals, right? Okay, now, next to him is my good friend, Drexel Smith, and he's my elder brother, and he loves the community so much, and I rely upon him so much. And he is the board member of the foundation. So once again, to both of you, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We really appreciate the opportunity to get in touch with the hospital and the hospital system. And you mentioned, Mr. Smith, about your cardiologist system. That hospital, which is what? That's the Queen of the Valley?
Intercommunity.
Intercommunity.
The cardiac
that does the
center.
open heart surgery.
Right.
And then, to as much I know about medicine, the world, open heart and open brain, those are the major stuff, right?
Right.
So you think your hospital can do it?
Absolutely. The Intercommunity Hospital is just established a brand new state-of-the-art catheter laboratory that's to deal with cardiac issues and has a high degree of specialty in the cardiac area. The point and the connection I was going to make in the earlier segment, Queen of the Valley set about to want to be recognized as a leading center for birthing issues. It doesn't mean birthing is all they do.
You say birthing.
Birthing, giving
Babies.
birth.
Babies.
Giving birth to babies,
Yes, as Mr. Zanata said earlier, they're one of the busiest hospitals in all of LA County for emergency issues. But if you're preparing to give birth, that hospital has a special birthing center that's been funded, set up with designated experts. Intercommunity has specialized in cardiac. And what this does is it allows a given campus, Queen of the Valley, Intercommunity, Foothill, to have an area of real specialty.
I see.
You follow me?
That's you're talking
Instead
about.
of every hospital having to
Now I
compete
understand.
for the same equipment that is extremely expensive. Every hospital, because of the expense of this equipment, cannot have everything at the same level. So what the Citrus Valley Health Partners has done by having these...
What is a Foothill specialized?
Well...
older people?
Women's health, and they have a great emergency room.
Hey, speaking of women's health, this morning I heard a complaint about tax-free of the women necessities, hygiene necessities.
Right.
Well,
taxing them?
Yeah.
Don't we all want to have things tax-free?
Yeah, sure. I want my shaving cream
me too.
tax-free, right?
You need it, yeah.
Okay, back to the
So
issue.
stay with Foothill. So I had a donor who lives in Glendora, who's on our board, and he was having chest pains.
I see.
He went to Foothill, And what did they do? They stabilized them, and then they said, you've got to go to intercommunity.
I see.
Because Foothill doesn't have the brand new cath lab that Drexel referred to.
I see. All right. And what Drexel said in his statement is very important, because this gives you a category of understanding how each of the hospitals is specialized in with their expertise, right? People know that.
Exactly.
And you mentioned, now that you mentioned about robot though, in open heart surgery, I know if I cut my finger, I can have a robot operate on it. So when I open my heart, you're really talking about robot operating?
So the robotic surgery has advanced greatly. It's very sophisticated. And there are pieces of equipment that cost $1 million. And the state of the art is that for certain procedures, it's much more precise to have a robotic surgery with a physician overseeing it versus...
Yeah, of course. Okay,
yeah. But again, I'm not a doctor. So,
I know that.
I see the bills for these.
And the open brain surgery is the same thing?
That tends to be less robotic and more human physicians.
The robotic application is prevailing now, or just when you merge?
It's not prevailing. It's fairly new. I think it's been in the last decade that hospital surgical suites have robotic equipment.
All right,
and it's much more precise. It's like an industry. You know, if you're going to make an incision in metal, do you have a guy do it with a saw, or do you have a machine do it that's perfect? So that's the thinking. It's a little different when it's a body, and you need to still have the physician.
I can never be a doctor.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody open the word, start with the word cut, I start feel shivery already.
Yeah.
Okay, now. There is one
we'll bring
thing.
video next time.
Oh, come on, no, please. I can never be a doctor. I even get fainted over seeing blood. I knock myself off. Okay, now there is one issue that is not on my list. I know Queen of the Valley is involved heavily with a community program called Meals on Wheels.
Right.
Can you say something, or can we say something about that? That is really of my interest area.
So actually, it's intercommunity hospital.
Oh, intercommunity.
We actually make the food and donate the food for Meals on Wheels. We do several thousand meals a week, and it's organized. Our whole purpose is to collaborate with other organizations. We can't do everything ourselves. So the YWCA has taken a real lead, the YWCA of Covina, in managing the Meals on Wheels program. So we do the meals, we don't charge them, and then they come and pick them up and bring them out to seniors. Because that's part of our charge now. We don't want people to come to the hospital. We want people to be healthy. So part of that is nutrition.
You're right.
Part of that is education. Part of that is good health. And that's again what's different, and most people think is good about the Affordable Care Act, is that your goal isn't to get people in the hospital and fix them. It's ironic, but even though we run hospitals, our goal is to keep people out of the hospitals. So we have clinics now that we're partnering with. We're opening urgent care centers. We're starting a family residency program with USC, with the Keck Medical School. So we'll have interns coming, and we're trying to keep people healthy. We have a new diabetes center where we're trying to have people come in and manage their diet for them, so that they don't end up in the emergency room in insulin shock.
So you're right. Especially with the care that your system runs, the life expectancy tends to be longer. Right? Like in your beloved mother's case, she lived 103 years old. Right. That's excellent. From 1902 to 2005. That's quite a bit. And people say that is still not long enough. They say they're expecting even longer than that. Okay, now, versus the limited resources we have, and on the other hand, we face the longer and longer in life expectancy. How do you foresee 20 years, 30 years, 50 years down the road in between the two, please?
Yeah, hard question.
Very hard.
Very
one,
hard
right?
question. The sad thing is that a lot of the healthcare dollars get spent in someone's last year of life. They're dying, they're in hospice, they're having all sorts of failures, and then the medical community tries heroic measures to keep people alive. So, at some
And
point...
the other tragedy is that those insurance companies pay $100 million to their CEOs.
Well, again, it's the challenge of, I call it a clash of values. So when you have a for-profit insurance company that's trying to oversee health for you, or for me, or for my son, in a nonprofit environment. So there's always, I once heard a CEO of a hospital say, when a patient comes in the pharmacy and needs a pill that's going to fix them and it costs $5,000, but the insurance company will only pay $50, what do you do? So if you're a nonprofit hospital, you give them the pill. But the insurance company is saying, no, because we don't want to. So you have this constant challenge of managing to the bottom line versus managing to doing the right thing.
All right, very good. So as a board member, sir, Mr. Jackson Smith, how do you call upon your audiences? I believe you never know who they are among my audiences, what to do to support you, to join you in the whole, work team, call it work team, to make the community a better place.
Well, Jack, I'd like to begin with thanking you,
Thank you.
to have Mr. Zanata on the show, because I'm hopeful this will be the first of a number of discussions, because it's my opinion
You're right.
that Citrus Valley Health Partners is not talked about enough. There's not enough awareness.
Hey, how about Mr. Zanata? Next time we arrange a crew, go through. You give us a tour
I'd love
about your system and the hospital and everything.
That'd be wonderful.
And we let our audience know this is a non-profit organization, right?
Yeah.
That kind, right?
And the information I recently learned because the hospital does a number of studies, recognize that diabetes in our geographical area is one of the highest in the country.
Exactly.
So their response was instant to put together a special diabetes program. They're constantly trying to understand the needs of the community.
And obesity too.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, as an institution, please be aware that we can only stay the absolute best and provide the top quality stuff and care and equipment with the community's help.
I see. All right, sir. You want to wrap it up, please?
I would just emphasize that community hospitals are here to serve the community. And we can only do that when there's a partnership. So, people come to the emergency room because the ambulances take them there. So we work very closely with the West Covina, the Glendora Fire Departments.
Yeah.
And we do that so when they have a pancake breakfast, we donate all the food. Well, because we want them to be happy and happy with us. So that when there's an emergency.
And you have Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels,
Yeah.
we do that because we want senior citizens who are alone to get someone dropping off a meal at noontime. It's not their health, it's their emotional health. So we work very closely. So I guess what I'd say is if people in the audience belong to an organization, talk to us because we want to collaborate.
Collaboration style, right?
Working together, and identifying opportunities for support.
And probably I need help. I recently developed a problem called non-profit organization dictate. I like them so much, and every time I see one, I come to them. Right. So that is a good thing to notice, and I believe that's if we all have problems that way, though, we're even better off.
Right.
Good. All right. So I have to cut it off because we're running over time. Thank you to Mr. Jackson Smith, who has brought Mr. Joe Zanata and wonderful friends of mine, wonderful friends of community, wonderful leader of the big cause of the community health of the East San Gabriel Valley. So thank you very much, and my audience, thank you for watching.
Thank you.